Okay, so we can start now. So welcome once again to the Fashion and Luxury Goods Investment Forum. Can you hear me all right? I would like to welcome all the...
Yeah, I can. Hello.
Okay, great. So I would like to welcome all the pitching startups and welcome to the advisory board members and the general attendees. My name is Mathilde Vadde. I am myself a fashion entrepreneur. I have my own startup called Eco Fashion Labels. It's a global marketplace for sustainable fashion. And tonight I'm happy to introduce 3 up-and-coming fashion tech startups from the US, the UK, and Poland. We will start the evening with the Fitly.ai, presented by Beniamin Golabek, who is a Swede based in Poland. Fitly.ai is helping shoppers find the sizes of clothes that fit them well. The second pitch will be Seddi, presented by Alexandre Meerson from the US. Seddi's mission is to build a digital fashion world by creating a digital world transforming the way we interact with clothing. And the third pitch tonight will be presented by Alexandre Meerson from the UK with the company Soxiety, with the world's premier source of high-quality Italian-made socks. So I'm truly looking forward to listen to all these pitches and learn more about these startups. So now I would like to introduce you to the format of the event. Each startup has 5 minutes to pitch, which is then followed by 15 minutes feedback and questions from the advisors. Then you can use the chat to ask questions to the presenters and to network during the event. So now I would like to shortly introduce the Startup Club. The goal of the Startup Club is to help entrepreneurs in their fundraising, development, and growth journey, connecting them with key players in the startup ecosystem. We connect entrepreneurs to investors, advisors, mentors, and different support organizations. We have a global team working together across 15 different countries and helping us grow in different regions. We are proud to count over 70,000 members in our online networks and over 50,000 investor connections around the world. We host pitch nights and investment conferences focusing on different sectors and industries. And if you're interested, I would like to invite you to check our website or our LinkedIn to see upcoming events. So now I would like to ask the members of the advisory board to shortly introduce themselves. I'm happy to welcome you here tonight. Leonor, would you like to start?
Of course. So good afternoon and good evening to everyone. Thank you, Mathilde, for having me again. It's a pleasure. I'm Leonor. I'm from the Plug and Play team, the Plug and Play Ventures team in Spain. For those who don't know, Plug and Play is an early stage VC fund headquartered in Silicon Valley and with more than 40 offices around the world. We're also an innovation platform and we work with big corporations to solve business problems with the help of the startups in our ecosystem. So we are currently working with companies such as Inditex and Desigual through our retail and sustainability verticals. And I'm very, very excited to hear your pitches.
Thank you so much, Leonor. Now I would like to introduce you to Claire Kent. Would you like to introduce yourself? Welcome. I cannot hear you.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hi.
Hi.
Thank you, Mathilde, for inviting me to the conference. So my name's Claire Kent. I've spent over 30 years involved with luxury and retail companies. I spent the first 25 years of my career as a luxury goods and retailing analyst, most of the time at Morgan Stanley. We IPO'd all the sort of major luxury goods companies in the quoted sector like Bulgari, Gucci, Burberry, and a whole host of other companies. For the last 12 years, I've been an independent luxury goods consultant working with private equity companies and industry. I'm on the board of Prada SA, and in 2013, I also co-founded a men's running wear company called Ifley Road with my husband, and we still run the company. So I combine luxury goods consulting with Ifley Road. And for those of you who don't know, Iffley Road is the location in Oxford where Roger Bannister broke the first 4-minute mile, sub 4-minute mile. So thank you very much for inviting me, and I'm really excited to hear your presentations.
Thank you so much, Claire. Vadim, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure, yeah.
Hi.
Mathilde, thanks as always for inviting me. So I'm serial tech entrepreneur and angel investor. Currently, I'm running my company through 3D Look, and also I'm a mentor of 500 startups. And I've been doing some angel investments in the past as a part of startup accelerator called Vanabis that I co-founded out of Ukraine. And now recently I decided to get back to angel investments. So now I'm looking at pre-seed and seed stage startups, mostly in fashion and retail tech, because that's the area that I'm currently focusing on. But still also can look at just in general B2B enterprise software based on some complex AI-based products.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Welcome. And now I would like to introduce you to Mr. Dulal Das, who is our Director of Valuation Services at the Startup Club. And Dulal, would you like to introduce yourself and what you do at the Startup Club? Dulal, I cannot hear you.
Hello.
Yes, now I can hear you.
Hello, this
Hi,
is
Dulal.
Dulal from Toronto. Can you hear me? Welcome. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, it's breaking a bit, but yeah.
This is Dulal.
I cannot hear you. Dulal cannot hear you.
I'm Dulal Das from Toronto.
No, cannot hear you.
Sorry, I'm sorry, I'm cutting off. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes, can hear you.
I've recently joined Startup Club as Director for Valuation Services and Due Diligence. Startup Club has recently introduced a new product for the valuation of startup companies, due diligence, and a kind of intermediary service between the investor and the startup entrepreneur. I have about 35 years experience in the financial service, mining, and the service sectors in North America, England, Africa, and India. I have experience in raising finance. I had also a small valuation consulting firm, which is called Base to Value, and I mainly provide conventional and transactional valuation services. This is in brief about me.
Thank you so much, Dulal. And now I would like to introduce you to Glen Ellen Brown. Ellen, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure, thank you.
Hello,
I'm very happy to be here. I'm very happy to be here and anxious to hear the pitches. I myself and my two partners make up the Bonfire Group, which is the advisory arm of the Ember companies that host for a very long time a lab and an inventory fund. We provide advisory services for Fortune 500 global businesses looking to embrace change, where the Bonfire Group really helps them transform, build, and connect consumer companies and retail companies. My background is brand strategy and business development, which began in packaged goods and primarily worked with major entertainment companies like Disney, Viacom, and Hearst. My two partners have very long and established careers as CEO of major fashion companies, from Henri Bandel to Kenneth Cole to a lot of the original brands that you would know with Kelwood and BF Corp. So we have a very rounded background of experiences in both retail, fashion, across the board. So thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Glen, and welcome. Thank you all for the introductions. Now I think we can move to the first pitch. So if you have any questions to the presenters, you can use the chat to get in touch. So now, without further delay, I would like to give the floor to Beniamin Golabek and his startup Fitly.ai. So Benjamin, hi. You can now share your screen and you can start your pitch.
Absolutely. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. Just a second. So here we go. Sorry. I'm just trying to. Can you see the first slide of my presentation? Yeah. Okay, great. So hi, everyone. My name is Beniamin, and I'm the CEO, one of the founders of Fitly.ai. And what we decided to do is to try to develop a working solution for solving one of the most, if not the most, known problem in fashion e-commerce, which is that shoppers don't really know what sizes of apparel they should choose when they shop online, which in its turn creates a lot of problems for the retailers, for the online retailers, but for the shoppers as well. So according to different sources, this problem touches. This is a problem that touches 30% of all orders of apparel online, which generates a lot of say losses for the industry, but also contributes to bigger emissions of CO2, and generally is bad for the industry. What we were thinking is that we have to work with the dialogue between the shopper and the store, and we thought that picture speaks more than 1,000 words. So for us, we decided to explore the possibility to use an image provided by the shopper to uncover and explore the fit preferences of shoppers, basically. So what you have to do when you use Fitly.ai is that you have to only one time when you're onboarded to our app, take a picture of your favorite garment, upper or lower garment. And what you can expect in return is 95% of accurate size recommendations when you're using our solution later on. The technology works this way, that we have our AR scanner app for iOS and Android. And we are using fashion library collected from retailers, and we are using users' digital closets, so the garments that users capture with their apps, and we throw it into our size and fit matching engine. And what we get in return, and what we can provide to the shopper and to the storefront when the shopper is viewing the online shop, is the accurate size recommendation. The business model that we are actually testing right now is 1% of transaction fee per successful transaction. So per transaction that ended with no return because of sizing issues. Later on, we would like to work with smaller retailers as well, and that's why we are thinking about a more sort of democratic model where we can charge per use or per one item of garment added to the clothes or garment library. It's a crowded space. It's definitely a very crowded space. I just recall that Free-de-Look is one of our competitors as well in this field. But there are basically two main methods on the market to solve this problem. One method is virtual closets, so by scanning bodies, and later on, some of our competitors are showing a 3D model of the shopper's body. This still depends highly. The technology isn't mature enough to work consistently, and it's highly dependent on size charts that aren't really accurate if you compare them with how clothes really look like. And the other portion of our competitors are relying on a lot of data points. And the problem with that is that you have to have a lot of data about your customers prior to implementing such a solution. we are entering the market. We are running some pilots. We're running one pilot with a major Polish retailer, OTCF, and we are hoping to get in production very, very soon. And I'm sure that you know the market very well. The market had a bit of downturn in 2020, but is going to grow rapidly in the next few years. About the team, so we are no fashionistas. We are a team of computer vision, machine learning engineers and product people, but we have committed to solve this problem. And I know that the time is running up, but I just wanted to say that what we have done so far is that we developed the technology that allow us to further develop the product itself. So we have a deliverable to our customers, to our business customers. And this was achieved through an investment that we received from BLDG Venture combined with funds from European Innovation Fund, basically. What we're seeking now is 1 million euros seed investment to put this product on the market and further develop the technology to address outliers and complex scenarios that you can meet with different types of garments and different shopper settings. So yeah, thank you for your attention, and it was a pleasure to present this to you.
Great, thank you so much, Benjamin. Really nice speech. Now we will move to the Q&A. So I would like to ask Leonor to start. Leonor?
Yeah, I was muted. Thank you very much, Benjamin, for your presentation. So I am very aware of this huge challenge for retailers and brands. I wanted to deep dive a bit more on the customer's journey when they use, you can talk, for instance, about the pilot project that you've implemented already. And also, so on the one side, the customer's journey, and on the other side, how's the integration of your solution on the onboarding with new clients?
Yes, so the customer journey for the shoppers is basically that you are onboarded. There are two scenarios. One scenario is that you're starting by being directed to our app by your retailer, by the shop that you're shopping at, and then you download our app and you're onboarded to our app. And the first thing you have to do is that you have to collect one image of your favorite garment that you consider your favorite best fitting garment that you have in your closet, right? Because that's the way we figure out what are your true preferences. And similarly, if you're onboarded through a customer channel, so right now we're working with a retailer who wants to embed our technology in their mobile app that they already have. They handle the onboarding basically, and there are some upsides to the second approach, because then you can build a bit more robust feedback loop between the shopper and us, so we can learn even more if what we're doing for the shopper, if the results, if the answer that we're getting them is actually serving them the way we want to. And the way we onboard retailers is that we actually, the only thing that we need to do is that we need to create space for their library, garment library within our solution. And we need to add around 12 lines of code to their storefront if they're using Magento or Shopify, and that's basically it. The other thing is just setting up feedback loop, so we know when a successful transaction happens.
Okay, and what about like if a customer is commuting and they don't have access immediately for their favorite garment? Can they upload a picture that they have in their gallery on their smartphone?
That's unfortunately not possible. So if you would like to use our solution for the first time, you would have to take one picture of your favorite garment, I suppose, at home. But once you've done it, once you've done the onboarding, you can always reuse that picture. So you will have that on your profile. So there is no more need to take that picture unless you know that you consider something else your favorite garment at this moment, that you know that the garment that you uploaded is not your favorite anymore.
Okay, and last thing, what's the valuation for the round?
The valuation for the round is 2.5 million euros.
Okay, thank you very much for answering the questions.
Thank you.
Thank you, Leonor. Vadim, would you like to continue?
Yeah, sure, thanks. Yeah, Benjamin, thanks for the pitch. Actually, a really interesting approach to tackle this problem. Yeah, and well, I mean, I think the approach is really smart. But yeah, I have a few questions. So first of all, how complex is to create this technology that obtains linear measurements of the garment when there are already some publicly available software on Apple App Store, like some kind of rulers? And basically, if I mean, it's possible to use even that software. Obviously, it's a bit more complex, but still to get the same measurements.
Yeah, so we're using the same set of technological tools, and you're absolutely right about that. And I think I know what you're thinking. So the technology behind Fitly.ai is the same technology that is running the ruler apps on your smartphone. The thing is that you don't have to manually measure anything. You just snap a picture. We do the perspective correction. We do the measurements. So the effort is literally 5 seconds of taking a picture versus a couple of minutes trying to measure this garment, and risking that the measurement could be a bit off because your finger in setting out key points isn't as accurate as our neural network that is measuring the clothes automatically.
So you mean that in terms of technology, your main advantage comparing to the ruler is the better user experience.
Better user experience. Better user experience, better accuracy. I would say. Plus we detect some things that the user would normally not detect. So we detect if a certain preference points towards a more loose fit, if this user might prefer something that is not so tight, or if it's tighter. So it's not only the physical attributes that we collect is an entry point to inference about more and more and more.
Mm-hmm. Okay, got it. But if it happens that this method is really strong and it becomes massively adopted, then more competitors will enter this space. And it seems that your technology is not the main barrier that you have. You probably will have something else as a barrier, but technology seems, I mean, quite easy to develop. If I'm correct.
I wouldn't say it's easy. We had to build a completely custom neural network for this purpose, and there is no good data to use to train this model as well. So we had to. I will not unveil how we've done it, of course.
Okay.
I know where you're working as well. Whom you're working for. But it isn't as straightforward. Or actually, when we started, we thought that it was. We knew that we had our ruler apps, the ones provided by Apple, and we knew that we have SLAM and LiDAR technology, and we thought that it was very straightforward. We could just apply that technology to this problem, but it isn't that straightforward, unfortunately. So there is a technological advantage over there as well.
Okay, got it. Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Glen, would you like to give your feedback?
Yes, thank you. So Ben, I think your presentation is terrific. I think the way that you graphically represented what you're doing and communicating sort of the benefits is really good, particularly when it comes to all of your competition, because your competition really, hasn't sort of gotten past what I think is a huge consumer barrier, which is people just don't want to go into a dressing room, get practically naked and scan themselves. I think they really are uncomfortable standing on a platter with the 360 view to get the right algorithms. I don't think they're really interested, and you would have thought this would have surfaced during COVID when everyone was in lockdown, that that's a huge friction point for consumers to think about having to scan their body. to get all the right algorithms. So I think in that way, you've done a really nice job of providing a solution for consumers that is much more consumer friendly. So my question to you is more on the strategy side of it. How are you going to dispel the competition that's already out there? And how are you going to communicate? I mean, I understand, I like your strategy of going with smaller brands who have loyal customers and you can get a very good adoption rate, but how are you going to go about dispelling the fact that there's so much of this in the market that's not effective or accurate with what you're doing to really leapfrog over them?
Yes, first of all, thanks for seeing things that way. That's actually the motive behind us choosing this way. We knew that we hated scanning our bodies when we tried the other solutions. We realized we are working with a very big retailer in Poland right now, and we keep realizing that this product is best suited for the brands, mid-sized brands or mid-sized fashion retailers, where you don't have a big data science team that will analyze your customers' behavior and try to come up with a very complex recommendation or infer on a very complex set of data. We realized that this solution works best for retailers who actually don't have a strategy on how to tackle this problem with a data point-based solution. So our strategy is to address the needs of those retailers. I wouldn't say small and boutique only, but the retailers who are more into fashion and less into technology, where we can really show that this method of building dialogue between the shopper and the online shop and the brand is something that is easy to implement and actually helps building the relationship between those two parties.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Glen. Claire, would you like to jump in?
Sure. Thank you for the great presentation, Benjamin. I think it looks like a really awesome service you have. I've just got sort of 3 or 4 points I want to raise. Some of them have been sort of touched upon before. I think like the first point is, as the co-founder of a clothing company, we get sort of inundated on a daily basis by sort of competitors of yours who want to get us to sign up with them and to offer our customers an ability to, you know, sort of choose the correct size. I think like the first point I would make is really for you to try and find a more provable way that your method is better than the competitors. So I know we've just touched upon this point, but it really is like a jungle out there for clothing retailers to choose the best solution. And I think you really, if that you can prove that a better, more reliable method, in a few minutes ago, much more user-friendly than doing a body scan. I think like that will really help you, because like there's just too much choice for retailers.
Absolutely.
Secondly, I think like you should really like sort of emphasize the fact that this is easily installable for a clothing company, and that it's not, you know, that it's not going to be fraught with sort of technological challenges, you know, for retailers on Shopify or whatever. So, because anything which seems stressful in terms of implementation, you're just very hesitant about, because you think, well, you know, we've got enough things going on. We don't want to confuse our business with sort of like, you know, technological challenges. So I really think sort of honing in on those 2 benefits of your business versus the competitors would really help you win clients. The next point really I just wanted to make is the fact that I think if you can get one big client who is an international name, like last time, the investment forum had a company on called Texel, and they had M&S as one of their clients. I think like, you know, if you can get that, if you can get one big client, it's just going to help you immensely in terms of signing other people up, because they'll think, well, M&S went with them, so like they did their homework, So I think you really need to focus on getting an international name on your books in order to win clients. And then the last point I just had was, is it on your plan to enter the US, or are you very European focused?
We do plan to enter the US, and we've got actually some contacts back from a program that we attended. So it's on our map. Like you're saying, we are under, I would say, some final phases of product discovery, right? So we've got this great technology that works, and we are just trying to develop the best possible product out of it. So it's right now it takes at maximum 1 day to implement. We want this to really always work, so the technological overhead isn't too big. And once we have that, I think we'll feel ready to enter US market.
Yeah, I think it will definitely make you more attractive to investors, you know, in the knowledge that you will tackle the US in the future.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Claire. Dulal, would you like to say a concluding remarks? 1 minute left.
Okay, basically, to cut it short, you had a good presentation. I would rather try to focus on the financial side. Probably it will add more value if you have given kind of a 3-year financial plan and your exit strategy and how you're going to use your $1 million. And you just mentioned your valuation is about 2.5 million. I believe it's a post-money valuation. And also, you know, it will always add value to give you an exit strategy. And what's the valuation post-money and ROI and the IRR? Just give an ask and offer summary, a kind of a fact summary. What's the total investment, cost of capital, ROR? What's your revenue growth, margin at profit after tax margin at liquidity, and indicated fair market value or the investment value. So that will probably add a lot of value. And I don't want to mention about your business and revenue model, which you have touched on nicely. I did not, probably you need to do a sensitivity analysis and the risk and the valuation at those risk points so that investors knows actually where you are coming from and what are the risks involved.
Absolutely. No, thank you. I think we've got some of the things that you mentioned in place, but
the gentleman next stop goes on the right on platform.
I'm sorry.
Sorry. Yep.
Yeah, thank you, Dulal. I'm trying to remember everything that you listed, and I'm sure that we've got some of the things that you listed in place. But thanks for the input.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Dulal. Okay, thank you all for your feedback and questions. And if you have some questions to Beniamin, you can use the chat. And now we will move on to the second pitch of the evening. I would like to introduce you to Alan Murray and the startup Seddi. So Alan, you can share your screen and you can start your pitch now.
Good. Hi, everybody. Can you hear me okay?
Hi, Alan. Yeah.
Hello.
I hear you perfectly.
Excellent. And right about now, you should be able to see my screen as well.
Yes. You can see the screen. Yeah.
Excellent. So hi again, folks. My name is Alan. I'm from Seddi. We're a deep technology startup. We were founded in about 2017, and we're a SaaS platform that's been designed to address the concerns of fit in the apparel industry. You know, in the hard goods space, we understand the notion of fit really well. You know, the physical aspects of fit as well as the aesthetic aspects of that. You know, does this object fit in a space? Will this table fit in that room? And 3D CAD has done a really good job of being able to model hard goods. We understand the physics of it. We understand how light interacts with those objects. But soft goods are a lot tougher. And when we're trying to model textiles and materials and the interfacing that they have with human bodies, it's complex because everything is in motion constantly and constantly interacting with one another. And while there's 3D tools in the apparel space today that have made a lot of headway and are pioneering well, they still haven't solved this fundamental problem of fit yet. And they've been focused a lot more on the aesthetics of design rather than the underlying science of fit. And this is a problem that it plagues the industry. And we heard in the last presentation how much that's true and how much consumers struggle with it. From our perspective, it's something that starts early in product development and affects as well the e-commerce side as well. Globally, about 50%, according to Shopify, about 50% of returns to the merchandise returned online is because of fit, and that's about 50% of all purchases. So it's a ridiculously high number that's being affected. And the idea, though, is as we think of fit, we usually think of, I'm a consumer making a choice about what to buy or what to wear. And fit in our mind starts much, much earlier on. And the biggest elements of the decisions we make start in the design and in the production phases around it, where we're making errors all the time. We're doing subjective measurements. They have no standardization. They have no repeatable practice. And there's very little data that's captured between all the millions and millions and millions of fit and try-on sessions that have happened since we've been inventing clothing. And our job is to try and build a platform to create and measure that and allow people to make more informed decisions based on data. So we have the data, the insight, and the technology to apply to that problem. We're a team of about 50. Within that team of 50, we have 12 PhDs in areas like computer graphics, mechanics, optics, mechanical simulation, and as well, we have industry experts in garment design and textiles as well as part of our team. And I guess it's only fair to ask, if we're going to solve for fit, how do we think that works? What happens? And we think there's three key elements that have to happen. First, you have to have a trustworthy representation of a textile in a digital form. It's got to be accurate. It's got to be realistic. It's got to look and perform the same way a textile does in the real world. Then you have to be able to assemble those textiles into accurate garments and garments that don't just look good, but actually represent their underlying physical characteristics. And you need to be able to model things like seam allowance and drape, seam construction, and all of that has to be reflected. And then, of course, you have to interface that with a human body and understand how that clothing interacts with a realistic avatar. And when you've done that, and you've done it and have the data underlying to understand all of those things and how they come together, we're going to change an industry. We're going to change how product is developed. We're going to change how products are approved, and we're going to move that out of the physical realm into the digital realm. We're totally going to reduce the time to market that it takes to bring a garment forward, and ultimately we're going to affect the cash register in terms of customer engagement and returns. So what we've built this platform, it starts for us with digital textiles and a product called Textura. So we've built a set of equipment to optically and mechanically capture the properties of textiles, and from there build very realistic simulations, yarn and fiber level simulations of those textiles. Now, that is a problem of scale. We can't move these kinds of machines and equipment all over the world and bring it close to source. So what we've done is, with all of that data that we capture firsthand, we've built a neural network that we allow our customers to take scans from a desktop scanner at a reasonably high resolution, plus some metadata, submit those to us, and we'll create texture stacks and realistic simulations of those textiles in a matter of minutes. Just having a look at the right, what you see here is an actual photograph in the background, and the inset is one of the simulations that we were able to produce. Challenging fabric, lots of light, lots of shimmer, lots of fold, and lots of drape. We then take those, and the outputs can be used in any software, by the way, not just our own. But then if you are using our platform, we have a garment authoring tool or garment engineering tool that we call Author, which will take in a pattern, create and drape a garment over an avatar on that. And we're the only people in the industry that can actually accurately model and simulate seams. So seam allowance, seam type. We don't just overlay those seams on top of the garment, but they're an integral part of what we create. On top of that, we can create avatars for measurement. Those are accurate to within 1 centimeter across 24 different points of measurement today. We haven't added soft body tissue yet, but that's something that our researchers are working on, and eventually we will. So now we've got those two things together, and we're bringing those to market currently as SaaS-based subscription applications. The textile digitalization service Textura is going to launch at the end of this year, and Author, the garment engineering SaaS platform, is currently in pilot today with a couple of large brands. We're going to be continuing through pilot through Q4 and Q1 and looking to a launch towards Q2 and Q3 commercially of 2022 for that product. I want to show, so I've talked to you a little bit about textiles and garments, but I haven't talked to you about the third part, and that's bodies, other than our ability to measure from avatars. And I want to show you, or avatars for measurement rather, I want to show you a video of a VTO virtual try-on that's based on machine learning. This video I've never shown outside of the company before, so it's only ever been seen by our team as well as some of the researchers in the industry that have peer reviewed it and collaborated with us. What we're seeing is in real time the ability to dynamically change an avatar, to grow it, to shrink it, to mix and match garments that have been trained in a neural network in the background, and to pre-path against various different forms of animation, jumping, running, rolling. And we think it provides a very, the world's first unique view of how we can do real-time virtual try-on with animation and motion. In the past, it's taken hundreds of hours to be able to train a garment against a network like this. A breakthrough we've had is we've been able to increase that by an order of magnitude. We've made it simulation engine agnostic as well. So it can hook up to our software, but it can also hook up to existing 3D tools in the industry as well. So we're quite excited about that. And now it has to stop. There we go. So what will the world look like when we kind of solve this fit problem? We think it's a dramatically big opportunity, much bigger than just what exists today in 3D tooling. We're going to change fundamentally the way products are developed. We're going to eliminate so much waste, but ultimately we're going to, once we've captured the data of fit and we understand how bodies and garments interact with one another, all those things that have been lost on the fitting room floor for years are now part of a knowledge base that we can start to design more accurately, we can start to design and build for our customer more directly, and we can start to shift an industry from a demand push to a supply pull. That's a long time coming, but we think it will happen, and we think this is the fundamental technology needed to do it. We're a very early stage right now. We're just, as I mentioned, moving into pilots, but we have hit our revenue goals for 2021. 2022, and the back half of that is where those commercial launches start, so still rather modest, but we're building a good pipeline of brands today. And I think we're going to see that continue to grow as we go through commercialization. And 2024 and 25 is when it really starts to get exciting for us from that outlook. What we're looking to do now is to raise a post-seed round of 6 million, which is to fund us until we get to Series A. The main use of those funds is to get us to the commercial release of both Author and Textura, and as well to launch and build out our sales and marketing teams and start to generate some revenue traction. So I thank you very much for your time today. And in solution, or in summary, I think we're one of the only companies that has the deepest pocket of technology and the deepest bench of talent in order to bring garment engineering, simulation, and avatars together to be able to really do this digital fit on digital bodies in the end. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Alan. It was really interesting. I would like to ask Vadim to give his feedback.
Thanks for the presentation. And so I've been thinking about a couple of questions. I do believe that in order to really transform this industry, like players from different market segments should collaborate. And definitely there is a problem with legacy players such as Clo and Browseware and Optitex, because they are not ready to innovate, or they are trying, but they are too slow. They have different priorities. They focus on designer software, but they're not focusing on really on innovations in 3D. So still, could you please cover a bit like your so are you going to directly compete with them, or are you going basically to focus on totally different market segment?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it's a little bit of both is the answer to that. We're definitely building out a tool in the garment engineering one that will Author that will look very competitive to Clo or Browseware. The reason we're doing that is because we can't get access to their simulation engines, if you will. They're sort of black boxes. The materials that we create, however, completely usable across any tool, not just ours. So if we create digital textures that are more realistic and are augmented by mechanical data, they can be leveraged in Browseware, they can be leveraged in Clo with the limitations of what their simulation engines do. From the perspective of avatars, there's no reason at all that any avatar that we create can't be consumed inside of any other product. I would love to see our simulation engine being used inside of Clo and Browseware as well. We have had a lot of interest from those folks and other folks that you've mentioned in the industry. We've talked with them. We've expressed interest about trying to find ways where we can work together. I don't think we need another 3D tool in the world, right? We need a better way to do real simulation underneath. So if we can help that install base grow, then that would be tremendous for us. That little glimpse of video that I showed you, that short clip, we're connecting that to our simulation engine now. I kind of hoped we would see that this week and I'd be able to show you that video instead. But we've built that so that it's simulation engine independent. So, once it's connected to ours, you'll see a lot more photorealistic garments and so on out of it. But there's no reason and there's nothing in that technology that can't be plugged into a Clo or a Browseware or an Optitex as well, and allow them to leverage it from there.
Okay, yeah, thanks for the answer. And my last question is, so what is your ideal customer profile? Because I've seen some types of the accounts, like free trial, team plan, enterprise plan on your deck, but what is your ideal customer profile that you're targeting now?
Yeah, our main, for on the textile side, our main focus is producers of textiles, right? And consumers of those textiles. So brands and mills predominantly. On the garment authoring side, the user who we're kind of focusing on is the technical designer, and the technical designer at the brand and the technical designer at the manufacturer. One of the things that I didn't get to talk about in the presentation because I was running so fast was we've decided very deliberately to build this in the cloud. And being part of the cloud allows us to be multi-user and collaborative at the same time. So we realize a lot of the decision points and a lot of the trade-offs that have to happen in garment design happen between folks at opposite ends of the phone, if you will, and that they don't have the same technology in front of them. They don't have the same applications in front of them, and they're using completely different points of reference. So we've built this with collaboration in mind so that the brand and the manufacturer and other supply chain participants can actually all come together as stakeholders, can see in real time what the implications and trade-offs of making design changes are, and be able to generate things like accurate bill of materials underneath it. And, if we make a change in seam allowance, how is that going to affect the garment? How's that going to affect its cost structure? How's that going to affect its ability to build? So that's kind of where we see that fit. And we think that technical designer is sort of the key conversation right now that's happening between all of those players.
Okay, yeah, thanks for the answer. Thanks, Alan.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I thought there might have been someone else there.
Thank you, Vadim. Glen, would you like to give your feedback?
Yes, I would. So in the previous presentation, you saw them identify all of the competition that is dealing with the consumer end and avatars that are supposed to give you the kind of robust algorithms that will get your fit size right. I think what you're doing is really differentiated in a most positive way, in the sense that I sit on boards which are made up of all major manufacturing companies, PVS, Randa, G3, and I can't tell you how many times I hear the designers who are completely in sync with all of their partners on the supply chain that they don't even get the tech pack right, when it comes back. So the fact that you are, and there is a humongous market for you to address exactly what you're doing and identifying where the pain points are. I mean, everybody in the industry knows that fixing this problem of returns is the holy grail, but it starts where you're starting with the production, understanding how you can start that process and get those data points so perfectly accurate that you won't have to worry on the front end about a consumer ordering a 10, a 12, and a 14, because at the back end, you've done the right thing. So I champion what you're doing 100%. I would say in addition to all your PhDs and your engineers, you need a really savvy business development person, because the companies that are mass producing at the horizontal volume are looking for this kind of a solution that they can start in the production end so that everything is right. And if you can get someone that's going to those companies, I think you have a home run. I was thrilled to see that you had identified the pain points all the way through on this production side of things and not just worried about all the stuff on the consumer end, because you clearly thought that through as well. And you have the consumer with all of the animation. I think you're working towards that. I would say do that really, really, really well and own it, and you will have the industry at your feet. Congratulations.
Thank you very much for that, Glen. That's high praise. Really, very much appreciated. Yeah, we thought long and hard. You know, it's very tempting to solve this problem at the consumer end because it's so close to the cash register, and we just think it's every time we try to approach it from that direction, we say no. It's got to start somewhere earlier. It has to start at source and carry through. And it's a longer path, but it's the path that I think is the correct one and the one where the growth really is.
Yeah, and I'm hearing it from Ralph Lauren all the way to G3. I mean, I think that, you know, they're just not getting it right. And I think they need this to help them, you know, modify their classic fits, their slim fits. I mean, it really has to happen at the production side of it. So it's something that I continually hear, and it's all about how do we solve for returns? Well, you got to start at the beginning.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Glen. And now we would like to ask Leonor. Leonor?
Sorry again. Thank you very much, Alan. I really liked your pitch, your video. It was great. Also, as Glen mentioned, I really liked how you tackled the solution from, especially the textile waste problem, from a pre and post consumer standpoint. I would love to talk more about it another day. So feel free to contact me, please. And I don't know if you could tell me more about the pilot projects that you've been running until now.
Yeah, so we've started, I guess I'll put them kind of in two buckets, is the textile projects and there's the garment projects. There is some overlap in some of those customers. Oh, sorry, I picked up a bit of an echo, I think. It seems to be gone now. So we've done our early, POCs on the digital textile side of the house. That was a heck of a learning curve for us. We really thought in the early days that we were going to have a massively scaled business of putting hardware out there, similar to what Vizoo have done or X-Rite have tried to do. But then when we realized that we could get these great results through the use of AI and the neural network, training against the fabrics that we had physically sampled ourselves, then all of a sudden we found this new business model. And so the pilots for that are kind of like in process, and we're almost going straight to production with that, given that we've had so much experience and uptake working directly with customers, brands that you would recognize across the board. We've been mostly focused in kind of cut and sew knits and the textiles that are most often seen there. Athleisure sector is probably where we've seen the most uptake from a pilot perspective there. But also anything that's based on, simple cottons and twills and things like that. On the garment engineering side, similar type of customer profile. We've been doing brands. As a matter of fact, we have a joint research project underway right now with a brand that you'd recognize instantly that unfortunately I can't disclose, but maybe we can talk about under NDA around that. And we're focused again in the same spot, athleisure kind of wear, the stuff that everybody's in the world is wearing right now. And we're kind of staging those pilots over kind of 3 to 4 different segments. Each month or so, we introduce a new capability into the product, as well as add additional pilot customers to it. We ask them to go through, a series of exercises with us, and then we allow them to free roam inside of the product and sort of stress test those elements of us. We come back together on a regular basis and debrief with them. These folks will be the basis of our customer advisory board going forward. And we hope by doing 3 rounds of this as we get ready for commercial launch, we're going to, not only are we getting it in people's hands earlier, we're building a nice, solid foundation and a path to convert as many of those pilots into paid customers at the time of commercial release that we can. I know I kind of danced around some of that a little bit for you. It's just I'm trying to honor the NDAs that we have with those customers, but I'm happy to talk more offline about that.
Let's try to talk a bit more on another call, maybe not under NDA, because not usually what we do. And valuation.
The valuation right now, so what we're trying to raise is, we're raising money based on a set of convertible notes right now as we try to work our way towards a fair industry valuation. So that's kind of an open question for us at the moment. What we have raised, I can tell you, is we've raised 16 million to date. Right? So we can put that in, and that some of that is from strategic industry investors as well. And we've had, as I mentioned in my presentation, we've had some inquiries about possible exits from some of those, well-known industry players as well. So right now, valuation is very much an open question for us as we try to kind of work our way towards something that we think is fair.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Leonor. Dulal, do you have some questions? Valuation? Dulal?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, yeah, I can hear you fine.
Yeah, I think you just mentioned about the valuation. So you're just raising $6 million in equity or safe instrument?
Right now we're trying, well, it'll depend if we find a lead investor or not. If we do find a lead investor, it'll be an equity. But what we've been doing along the way for smaller individual investors has been taking those in the form of convertible notes.
Okay, so it'll be basically a combination of equity plus safe, right?
That's correct.
Okay, but I didn't see anything about your exit strategy and what's the kind of a return. If probably it would have add value, and the kind of a one slide, probably your path to profitability. I have seen the slide on the revenue, how you're growing up and you're acquiring customers. But I think I would like to see, it would have been better to know the path to profitability. Yeah, you have a huge opportunity, the little I understand it. But the question is that, what's the return? What's your IRR? If you're looking for a 5-year exit strategy, I think it would be an interesting thing to, I understand about your points on the valuation side, but I believe we know your valuation now, the pre-money valuation you probably know, right? Do you know your pre-money valuation?
We're not disclosing that.
Okay.
And what I would say actually, Dulal, and it's a great question about the margins and profitability and what's the growth plan look like as well. We're really tightly honed to what our unit economics are inside of the company, and we realize with so much cloud-based computing going on in the back end, and that's just something that can kind of grow out of control for us, pretty rapidly. So we built our model out based around a good understanding of our unit economics, and we continue to update them on a regular basis. And I'm pretty happy to say that across the board, our margins are looking pretty healthy. For typical SaaS-based businesses, we're trying to target about an 80% gross margin per product.
That's great.
And that's what we're hitting. Yeah, and we can share more of that model that's built out in the background if you wish. But yeah, you're right. It's a good point. I should probably put something to that effect in the presentation.
And also how you're going to use $6 million. I mean, I didn't see anything in
numbers. Yeah, so I probably just slammed through that because it was so quick. The 6 million is to get us to a proper Series A, and it was on one of my slides. What we want to build out is our sales and marketing team. Right now, we're very tech engineering focused, and we definitely need to. Yeah, we do have folks that have sales and marketing hats inside of the company, but we really need to build out that side of the business. And as well, we need to sort of some more engineering and investment work, not so much research work, but definitely. Grinding code to get us to the spit and polish that's required for commercial release.
Oh yeah, that's it. I think you have a great business plan. You have a solid management team, and whatever the other things required, you have everything to start. I hope you get the funding required to move to the next stage.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your feedback.
Thank you, Dulal. Claire, do you have some concluding remarks?
Yes. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Great presentation, and I think there's a massive opportunity. So congratulations, Alan. Just a couple of points I wanted to ask is, firstly, what has the feedback been from like major clothing brands? Like, have you presented this to companies like Inditex or H&M? And has there been, you know, if there has been feedback, has there been any pushback, and what has the pushback been? So that was my first question. Then I had a couple of other things.
Okay, the feedback's been, so the answer is yes, we have presented it to brands like those very much, and we actually don't have much trouble really reaching brands. So people are more than willing to pick up the phone and talk to us. Although there's a few doors we'd like to get opened, and could use a little help for sure to get them pushed a little wider. The feedback is usually the aha moment for folks comes when they start to see the collaborative elements and then the realism that we show in real time. And when we finally show people what seam construction looks like and how changing and altering that kind of stuff can affect the garment directly in the drape of that, and they're getting that feedback in real time, then it goes a little silent for a minute, and then it's, okay, when can we have it? And I have this complex garment I would like to do, and I have this capability and this capability. So I would say the feedback's been great, but then it's the we want it all and we want it now kind of thing that we need to manage. People do recognize that our approach is game changing from what they've seen in the past, and they do realize the possibilities of being able to, you know, build out accurate production and accurate bombs and things like this underneath it, and that they can use the data that we're providing to actually inform decisions, as opposed to, yes, it's just one other reference point, but we're still going to build a, you know, physical prototype, or we're still going to create a whole bunch of samples and go out. So yeah, it's been really positive, but then it's now hurry up and finish, you know, kind of thing. And I do think that's one of the risks we run. We're very sensitive about time to market at this point, as we know 3D is getting adopted quite rapidly now, particularly in the COVID and post-COVID time.
Thank you. And I could see you have some sort of relationship with Under Armour and Lululemon, and I wondered what that sort of relationship was.
Yeah, they are two of our early pilot customers and sort of deep kind of technical reference customers as well. So they've been looking at our textile side of the house, and they've also been looking at our garment engineering side of the house. And so we interface with them quite regularly.
And it's gone well, has it?
Yes, I mean, we're still early in the pilots. You know, it's I would say that, you know, they believe the story we're telling them, and they believe that we have the technology to do it. It's a question of execution at this point on our side, and to prove to them that we can polish the tools and they can generate business value out of it. But from the approach and the technology proof points that we've done together, it's been 100% supportive.
Great. Thank you. The last thing I just wanted to ask is, you've obviously mentioned appealing to like quite a broad range of clients, from like technical designers to like massive industry players. So what kind of investment is required, for example, for a technical designer who's interested in this solution versus an industry player?
Yeah, that's we're still kind of ratifying our pricing, but you know, we're going to be, you know, competitive, and we're looking at varying tiers of pricing structure for that. So for instance, I want to go after the student market really hard as well. Mm-hmm. And I want, you know, I want educators to start using our product and utilizing it. So the benefit of doing this on a SaaS subscription means we can actually keep the costs down reasonably well. There's lots of things we can throttle and say, you know, we can give this to a student at a low price, but limit the number of high quality renders that they do in a month, for instance, right? So they have all of the full features, but they're relatively scoped back in volume. There's also no investment on their side. You don't have to have special hardware to run this. Everything we do runs in the cloud. If you've got a relatively modern, you know, laptop or desktop that can support you know, the latest browsers, then you're going to be able to run our software, and it's going to be able to run with pretty good performance. So that barrier to entry is pretty low. And when we start looking at, you know, what some of our competition require, it's really high-end graphics workstations, and we think that's a killer, you know, part of adoption. You know, it's you end up with 3D being in these little silos and these little tiny decision areas and not spread widely throughout the company. On the textile side and creating digital textiles, that's one of the reasons we find this new business model that we've been exploring so compelling. Having to ship and assemble textiles and send them to a central place to get scanned, expensive, laborious, tedious. Having to buy $50,000, $60,000 pieces of hardware to have on site, just as ugly from the opposite side. So our AI approach to doing this means you need to have a pretty decent desktop scanner. We've been targeting models that are similar to what you would use for high quality photo archiving. So you're looking at maybe $1,000 to $1,200 US investment in a scanner, and that's it. If you've got that good scanner and a good internet connection, we can create a textile for you. And we'll probably be in the price range of about $15 per textile. And then if it requires tiling, which most of them do, that'll be an extra fee on top of that to build out the tiled version of the textile.
Thank you. It's so impressive. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, Claire.
Thank you, Claire. Thank you, Alan.
Thank you.
Okay, now we will move on to the third pitch of the evening. I would like to give the word to Alexandre Meerson, who will be pitching for the company Soxiety. So you can start now, Alexandre.
Good afternoon. I hope you can all hear me.
Yes, perfectly. Hello.
For some reason, my video is not starting. So I see we are running a little bit out of time. Are we fine with that, Mathilde?
Yes, it's okay.
Great. So good evening, everyone. I'm very happy to introduce Soxiety to everyone, which probably will sound pretty atypical compared to the technology companies that we have just heard. The Soxiety has been around since 2013, so about 8 years, in Italy, born out of Brescia by founders who are, let's put it this way, very like-minded gentlemen who are fiercely independent, very much entrepreneurial and involved in the worlds of fashion and high fashion. They're all Italian, and I joined the business last spring. As you can hear from my accent, probably I am not Italian, I'm French. Nobody's perfect. But they, as you will probably see, Italians do it much better anyway in fashion. The Soxiety has been created in 2013 as a place and as the best place to source and find this annoyingly but indispensable accessory, which are socks for men. The business crafts, manufactures in Italy with connections. And the goal of the Soxiety was to be designed as a club where subscribers and members get to know each other through events. Most of our marketing has been offline, and that uses the digital technology to sell and distribute directly to them. So it's a direct-to-consumer brand born on the internet that uses offline activations very much. So I joined the brand last spring because the company is now engaged into a new chapter of its story. It's about really moving to the next step and growing and taking the business more global. So we are starting in Italy, and our plans are to expand in Europe and, of course, to the US within the next 3 years. So we've learned a lot, and the reason why we are here today is that we are in the middle of a rebrand and a redesign of our value proposition, and also engaged in creating for the first time a strong digital marketing activation and strategy. We're implementing, bringing in experts. We are aiming at growing the brand. We've designed the products, we'll describe them shortly, and we're now ready to basically grow. So we have experienced something which is a privilege in a way, which is a very long proof of concept phase. It was led by our founders. We have learned a lot about the market, about what our customers' needs and wants are. And what are the requirements to build a successful business in this area. So I'll take you briefly through the idea. So our brand first is not a designer brand. It's a brand led by craft, materiality, and style. So our products are carefully crafted in Italy with sustainability in mind. So there's no plastic. They're very durable, very high quality, and incredibly comfortable and accurate in fit, to follow up on the discussions we've had earlier. So what we've learned, the market for socks was a big surprise for me when I arrived, is actually a very big market, currently at $45 billion, and its growth is actually outpacing the growth rate of global fashion. And interestingly, there's a huge concentration in the markets for casual and sportswear, where more smart and smart casual brands are actually much less present. It seems that no one has really cracked that market, in particular in the digital sphere. And we notice that through our own activity. The second is that there is a real appetite, we feel that ourselves with our own clients, for something which is incredibly simple to purchase, for quality, for something that that is crafted in a recognizable manner in Italy, that is designed with understatement and discretion in mind, and for something which is also a club. So we are building a Soxiety as a club where people, of course, can purchase directly, but also where they can subscribe and receive their socks on a regular basis, like subscription. The other things that we have learned over the last few years, beyond keeping it very simple, is that we needed to engage and build a community. So as I said earlier, we work a lot offline by events, but activation, digital activation has shown over the last few months a strong, strong results and very good conversions. So the reason why we're raising money today is essentially, one, now that we have the product and product strategy, to develop our marketing capabilities and in particular our acquisition plans. The assortment and the product is fairly simple. We have a permanent assortment where our members are certain to find always the right pair of socks with very basic but very simple and simple design. And from time to time, 3 to 4 times a year, we build collaborations or capsules that are either inspired by the owners and our clients who can vote and submit ideas, but also by calling out some of our friends in fashion who are creative directors or designers in the world who can create on pre-order our capsule or temporary collections. So we have a blend of essentials which are in stock and limited pre-order products. So this is an online business, direct to consumer. We sell to individuals who either want to order whenever they want, and usually it's 3 to 4 pieces per order, or 3 deliveries per year for subscribers. We are focusing now, once we finish our rebrand, we'll be relaunching in Italy with a big focus in Italy first for the first year, and then expand to Europe. And as I said earlier, once we have established our presence in Europe, we have the US in our sights. I touched on the market recently. What I think is interesting to find out is that the area where we are, which is the formal and casual chic, I would say, area of the market, has no real established leader at this point, in particular in our space. And that the prices are actually increasing in that area where there is a pressure to diminish and reduce price in the other areas of the market. We've noticed this over the last 3 years, where we could gain 2-3 euros per year per pair compared to the pressure that is felt in the more fashion or sports arena. So we are still a very small brand, and we are hoping to find our space there. The forecasts that we are working on are to take the business to 1.4, 1.5 million of revenue by 2024, and to place the business in a position to welcome a more institutional investor. The 350,000 euros that we are raising now are going to be allocated at 80% to marketing spend for acquisition and retention, and in the rebuild of our digital platform. Product is already in hand, and we're getting ready to launch in the fall. This is where we are. I know you were pressed by time. For time.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Alexandre.
Oh, I apologize for my croaky voice. I'm just recovering from the international illness that we've gone through over the last 2 years.
Okay, no, it was perfect. Leonor, would you like to give your feedback?
Sure. So thank you, Alexandre, very much for the presentation. I think it's quite a cool market. I think also that we are very used to fun and personalized items for women, and that the men's market, it's like there's still a long way to conquer it. So my question was, who is your, like, what's the exact target market for the Soxiety? Are you, yeah, because, and also how are you going to grow in terms of product portfolio?
So it may seem a little bit counterintuitive to target a niche, but the market with which we seem to have the best echo and we measure the best potential are men who are in their mid-30s to their early 50s, who are typically divorced, that's something we've noticed, or separated, who are very active, entrepreneurial, executives in business, who are careful about their style and would like an accessory that is discreet, understated, yet that can sign a sense of style, and that can be a talking point between them. So we are not targeting women at all at this stage, although quite a few of our subscribers are women who subscribe for their partner, we noticed. So it's a brand that is talking to men. And to your point about personalization, we work on, of course, the classic initialing, and but the biggest personalization that we are looking at is more the involvement in the community. When we invite our members to help and suggest designing the next capsule or the next collection for a rare or unique piece that can be pre-ordered.
Okay.
Interestingly, sorry, in that particular niche in countries like Germany, for example, this particular segment of the population owns 24 pairs of socks, and they are the leading market in Europe, and I would venture to say in the world for that area.
Okay, and do you have an example of a brand that has followed this model of membership, or like a relationship with its clients that has been a success? So as a success story in the men's wear in Europe.
So there is a blend of what you call membership and I would say community involvement. There is a fabulous brand in France that is called Asphalt that you may have heard of. They are an incredible success. They work with their community to design the next piece of fashion that they're going to make. They were born out of the desire to solve a problem which was fit and durability and sustainability with style. This has inspired us a lot because we noticed that there's a crossover between clients. The other are Le Slip Français in France, which has become a huge brand for underwear, men's underwear, with another angle, which is, let's put it this way, a little bit more quirky. The approach that we take is not really to push for subscription. It's a comfort, it's a convenience that we offer, because ask many men, I don't want to say all men because we're all different, but if I ask all of my friends, none of them will ever go to a store to buy socks. It's something they find boring, but that is frustrating. So the ability to purchase quickly something which seems very commoditized is actually a pleasure.
Okay. Well, let's see how it go. All the best, and I hope to be able to buy a couple of socks in the near future from Soxiety.
Thank you so much, Leonor, and thank you for attending today. Now I would like to ask Glen, Ellen, for your feedback.
Sure. So very interesting. We have, coming from the States, we have a number of successful, I'm going back a number of years, but I think that men were sort of ignored until the Trunk Club came along and did a really, really good job of telling men what to wear. Because I think, quite honestly, in the States, there are a lot of men that just need to be told. Make it simple. Give me 3 things. Tell me the 5 things to pack for a suitcase where I meet the parents, I go to a party, and I'm going to hang out for brunch. So I think that, you know, they really, and I worked quite a bit with Esquire and the Trump Club, and I have some good experience with men. So it's interesting to me, your customer needs to buy 12 pairs of socks a year, your subscriber, a minimum of 4 in
no. Sorry, it's 4 per, we have an average of 3 to 4 purchases, 3-4 pieces per order, but the subscriber can pick as much as they want.
Oh, okay, but there's 3 drops a year, is that correct?
3 to 4. You can
3 to 4 drops a year. So it's interesting. I mean, I think like Dollar Shave, and I think when you start giving men a simple solution, you can acquire them quite readily. So I think there have been a number of models that are doing that. I think in the States, we have things like Bombas. And I guess one of the questions I have for you is, it's clearly a fashion product, but everyone's looking for performance. I mean, this is what we've learned now is look at what's happened with fitness, in-home fitness. I think that we expect performance in everything, whether it's a formal sock. I think you mentioned it. Can you talk a little bit about how, because when you can get people at your events talking about a product they love, then you've done your job. So I think talk to me a little bit about the performance or comfort factors that you're able to speak to in your product.
Thank you for that, because this was one of the first assumptions that I made when I joined the business, having worked also in fashion for many years. And my assumption was that performance was the key word. The key word in our case is pleasure, in the sense that we can buy a lot of things today. You can order at a click of a button many things, and everyone discusses performance. The word luxury is also used by everything and anything in the world. In our case, we have noticed that the questions that were asked were more about comfort, and also warmth and the feeling of being held and feeling beautiful, feeling a little bit like in skincare, you know, I feel my skin is comfortable. We often heard a gentleman saying, I feel good when I wear those socks. And when we looked at the market, we actually invested in some marketing research, and the trends in that seem to be the most sustainable in that particular area is for thinner socks. Over the last few years, from sports socks, I'm fed up with highly technical, with lots of shapes and the seams or seamless, whatever, with a little element of cushion. And the second trend is warmth, cashmere, quality, and feeling really that I own a fashion accessory more than just a commodity. So yes, there is performance, but we never hear about anything else than I'd like a natural product, like something that holds me around. The only element of technicity will be for gentlemen who are asking something we're developing, which are socks, we call it retention, or I don't know the word in English, sorry, when you travel, you want to be a bit for circulation, you want it to be tighter. Yeah. So that is one element that we're working on. But when we talk about yarns and we present yarns, the more natural, the more simple, the more traditional, the better they feel about it.
Great. Congratulations. Good. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Glen. Claire?
Thanks for the presentation, Alexandre. So there were really just sort of two things I wanted to ask about. The first question is really like, what's changed? So the company launched in like 2013, 7 or 8 years ago. And, so I think the first question an investor's going to ask is like, what's changed? What happened during that period? And more details on what's different this time around. So that's really my first question.
So thanks for that, because that's the whole reason why we are here today, is that it's interesting to see that this brand has been living on its own steam since 2013, growing very slowly, but without any marketing investments. So people were ordering, and people who order reorder, but we never ever worked on any form of acquisition. But the founders did not want to press the the acceleration button until they were sure that we had a strong strategy and plan and team to move forward. What has changed is that effectively we had a good experience over the last few years, and as I said, I just joined in the spring this plan as a co-investor, and really feel that it's a space where there is a strong potential. And where we believe we can invest in acquisition and retention and grow the business strongly.
Thank you for that. The second question was, if we go to your slide, which has this sort of P&L forecasts on, as far as I understood from the slide, I'm not sure if it's in euros, or I assume it's in euros, yes. But I assume that the target of 1.4 million euros in 2024, that the sort of pop-ups and the events are not going to actually drive that growth, that those will be from 2024 onwards, the pop-ups and the events. So my question really is like, how are you going to build the tribe of fans? I don't doubt that you have a fantastic product, but I'm the co-founder of a clothing business, which also founded in 2013, by the way. And I would say that the biggest challenge we've had is to build the tribe, because however fantastic your product is, people need to discover about it. And we rely a lot on digital advertising. It's incredibly expensive. The CPA, to kind of get a customer through Facebook, Instagram, or Google advertising is very high. And also, I don't think it's great because it's not really building the tribe. It's not really authentic enough, in my opinion. So really, my question is like, what is your big marketing idea that is going to get you to sales of 1.4 million over the next 3 years? Because that's a lot of new customers you're going to have to gain.
So it's interesting. As an experienced, I have been very privileged to be at the forefront, or experiencing the growth of digital marketing for many brands in the luxury area in particular over the last 15 or so years. Actually, we do not count purely on digital marketing to create our tribe, and we will actually start with the pop-ups and the events. So the idea that we're working on is actually to start with a small geographic focus and to acquire our clients, as we started already, through these events which are each time the occasion to acquire new subscribers and create a tribe of people who said, I know the guys, and I can then become myself an ambassador of the brand. Just to put some context, to reach our target in 2024, we basically need less than 500 subscribers. So it is not a very big number. If you consider that between 2022 and 2023, we will move from Milan to the rest of Italy and then expand to other capitals of Europe and then hopefully to the US. So the growth and the number of orders that we are planning to fulfill gets to north of 1,000 or 1,500 in the third year. So it's relatively humble and modest from the perspective of a brand with this average order value. So we are definitely going to work very strongly at animating the community through digital media by working our content strategy. So one of our founders is actually doing a lot of video and is a publishing company that works for many Italian brands, many that you know very well. And also another one is has a publishing house, where we're bringing together content strategies and videos to nourish the conversation with our subscribers. But the acquisition initially will be much more driven by offline activations.
Okay, thank you very much, and I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you, Claire.
Thank you so much, Claire. Dulal, would you like to give your feedback? Say something about valuation? Dulal? Dulal?
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you presented a good business model, both business and revenue. You have touched on everything more or less. I like your subscription model. I think with proper marketing spend and positioning, you can still scale up your revenue. I don't think the 1.4 or 5 million over the revenue you have projected at the end of the 3 years, it's a very high number. I think you have a scope to increase the revenue given the market size in this niche market. And you mentioned that you need about 250,000, and you have mentioned about $3.5 million. I'm assuming that you'll be doing an equity dilution of 10%. Am I correct?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Now, I think it's up to you. You can think about it. You can ask for more money and how you can scale up the revenue. And also, I think it would be better to give some kind of an indication about the investment return. What is the return of investments and the internal rate of return? Just give a small slide about the fact summary: investment, cost of capital, revenue growth, profit after tax margin, and then you get a fair market value. I personally think you have an opportunity and that extra money that you'll be looking for probably needs to go lots of marketing spend. It's same thing like the way the Boss, you know, that with that shaving accessories, they have scaled up their business quite a lot, and they basically follow the subscription model, and they're doing pretty well. So, and some kind of a sensitivity and the risk analysis probably will fit the bill also. I think overall, it's a good, keep it up. I mean, you'll be able to crack the market. That's my feeling.
Thank you very much, Dulal.
Thank you, Dulal, and thank you, Alexandre, for the presentation. So this was the final pitch for today. I think it was a really interesting session, and I would like to thank everyone, the startups who did an amazing job by presenting today, and also to all the board members. I would like to thank you for your time and your useful feedback. So if you would like to connect to each other on LinkedIn, I think it's a really good opportunity to network, and you can continue the discussions there. And I will be sharing the contact details of all the attendees as well as the pitch decks by email to all of you. And yeah, and I would like to ask if Claire, would you like to say some few words at the end?
Yeah.
Did you enjoy the event?
Yeah, it was a great pleasure to be part of it. I wish all the founders luck and yeah, very, very good presentations and good questions. So thank you for inviting me.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure to have you. Thanks. Glen, are you still here?
Yeah. Yes, I am. Thank you. I feel the same way. Very interesting. I think everyone was so well prepared and answered all the questions really with great substantive comments.
Thank you so much for attending, Glen. Hopefully next time again.
My pleasure.
Thank you. So yeah, so thank you all. Thank you also to all the general attendees and also to the Startup Club for organizing this event. And would like to invite you all to follow the Startup Club on LinkedIn and to stay informed about the upcoming events. The recording of this event will be available on YouTube. I will share the link to that. So for those of you who could not attend live, there will be still opportunity to watch the recording afterwards. So, yeah, so I also want to say I have a beauty tech pitch night on 1st of December and a European investment conference on 3rd of November. So if you're interested to attend, you can just email me or message me on LinkedIn. Would be my pleasure. Okay, then I would like to thank you and wish you all a really good day or evening and see you soon again. Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you, Mathilde.
Thank you. Thank you, Dulal. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay.